6 win for the Suns over the Bucks. Stephen A., what did you think of the win?
I'm always happy when I see the Suns winning because they're not injured. And I want to see KD, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal and those boys in the postseason. We know that Dallas ain't going anywhere because they're injured. We understand that. So with that being said, you want to see the pieces. There's no reason on earth why a team with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker ain't in a playoff series. That is insane. So to me, anytime I see them win, I'm happy about it because that means we'll get to see them come postseason, hopefully, and their talents demand that.
Yeah, and obviously the Bucks weren't at full strength. Damian Lillard didn't play.
That's right.
The Suns are now 10th in the West, which would give them the final play-in spot. All right, some more NBA news. So Doc Rivers is on the cusp of a coaching milestone. With just one more win, he will tie Phil Jackson for 7th on the NBA all-time coach.
In a playoff series. That is insane. So to me, anytime I see them win, I'm happy about it because that means we'll get to see them come postseason, hopefully, and their talents demand that.
Yeah, and obviously the Bucks weren't at full strength. Damian Lillard didn't play.
That's right.
The Suns are now 10th in the West, which would give them the final play-in spot. All right, some more NBA news. So Doc Rivers is on the cusp of a coaching milestone. With just one more win, he will tie Phil Jackson for 7th on the NBA all-time coaching wins list. But despite winning 1,154 games over 26 years coaching, Doc isn't immune to criticism. He recently fired back on the knock that his teams tend to lose 3-1 series leads in the playoffs, saying, quote, "No one tells a real story, and I'm fine with that. It's unfair in some ways. I don't get enough credit for getting the 3 wins. I get credit for losing. I always say, what if we had lost to Houston in 6? No one cares. One of the things that I'm proud of is we've never been swept. All the coaches have been swept in the playoffs. My teams achieve. A lot of them overachieve, and I'm very proud of that." Stephen A., your thoughts on Doc's comments?
Why are you doing this, Doc Rivers? Oh, my Lord. This is a disaster for me, personally. Shannon, Booz, Booz knows this. Shannon, Doc Rivers and I, we go back more than 25 years, man. I've known this man for a very, very long time. I will give him credit for the fact that this argument is consistent. It is something he has said to me directly on several occasions. And do you know what I've said in response, Shannon? But here is what Doc Rivers cannot escape. You lost more Game 7s than any coach in NBA history. You've lost your last 5 Game 7s. 2015, 2017, 2020, 2021, 2023. Your record is 6-10 in Game 7s. When you had a 3-1 lead, there was no Grant Hill. He was supposed to be there with Tracy McGrady when y'all were in Orlando. Tracy McGrady and them go up 3-1. They were sticking out their chest a little bit. The Pistons came back and beat them by a combined 61 points over the last 3 games. Games 5, 6, and 7. They beat them by 61 points, okay? We saw CP3 hit that floater over Tim Duncan in 2015 that delivered you a Game 7. You haven't won a Game 7 since. We saw James Harden not show up against Boston a couple of years ago. We understand that, okay? We saw you lose a Game 7 before that when Ben Simmons didn't show up, okay? That's not coaching. Understand, Shannon, he's right when he talks about he can coach and that, you know what, you might look elsewhere, but in the end, your record is your record. And this is what I'll say, and I'll leave it to y'all. Doc Rivers is a champion, but champions don't speak like that. Champions don't say,
no,
look at how many Game 7s I got you to. Champions don't say, what about that when Ben Simmons didn't show up, okay? That's not coaching. Understand, Shannon, he's right when he talks about he can coach and that, you know what, you might look elsewhere, but in the end, your record is your record. And this is what I'll say, and I'll leave it to y'all. Doc Rivers is a champion.
I'm champion. Take us through the player's mindset when you hear those comments.
Hell, it's the first to 4, not the first to 3. Stephen A.
About, I'm proud that I never got swept. Champions don't do that. And he's a champion. Why is he doing this? Doc Rivers, you are a champion. Stop this. You're a champion. You ain't got to say all of that stuff. That's all I'm going to say for now.
Shannon, you're a champion, a multiple-time champion. Take us through the player's mindset when you hear those comments.
Hell, it's the first to 4, not the first to 3. Stephen A., what if Dan Quinn had said, I don't get enough credit for having a 25-point lead on the Patriots? How many teams have ever had a 25-point lead in the Super Bowl? People would have ringed it. Because the objective is not to get the lead. The objective is to win the game. It is not. There was once upon a time booze up on the screen. Dog, why would you ever? And Stephen A. said he's asked you not to say this publicly. Doc, this makes you look horrible. 2 out of 3. The first round of the playoff was the best 2 out of 3. And then you went 3 out of 5. And in the conference championship, you went best of 7 as the finals. Doc, it's the first of 4. You have a 3-1 lead. You had a 3-1 lead against the Nuggets, and you blew that. You've had a 3-1 lead, and we had than what Doc Rivers had when he did this interview with Mark Spears.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you know Stephen A. because this is your profession and you've been a journalist for a long time. But publicly, I don't know if a coach can say anything worse than what Doc said in that article.
Also, Shannon, to that point, they've lost 4 their last 6, so it's like, I mean, come on. They're struggling. The team's not doing well.
Well, you can't go about that because you got to see when he did the interview.
When the interview, but still, they're in a tough stretch. I mean, let's call it what it is.
Right.
You know the interview is eventually going to come out. But, Carlos, as a player, if you're honest, are you looking at Doc sideways right now?
A little bit. It's just an odd comment, and the timing of it is so bizarre. I agree. I'm trying to find something to disagree with. I know you guys like to debate on the show, but I agree with you guys. I mean, you're a Hall of Fame coach. You're an NBA champion. You've coached some of the best players that have played the game. It's to win the game. It's to win the series. It's to win championships, not to get close. And it's just a bizarre comment coming from a coach who's in the hunt of trying to win another championship with the 2 stars that he has. Dame Lillard doesn't have a championship one yet. He's searching for one. Giannis wants to win another one so he can stay in Milwaukee. It's just a weird timing of this comment because you have a team that is on the hunt, trying to go into the playoffs with their best record, playing their best basketball, and you've coached some of the best players that have played the game. It's to win the game. It's to win the series. It's to win championships, not to get close. And it's just a bizarre comment coming from a coach. He's done an incredible job with some great players, some great teams. It's just the timing of it that's very odd for me.
Doc Rivers, in my opinion, can coach his ass off. He can coach. He knows the game. The problem is that there are enough people in the league who feel and privately, tacitly, or directly have said otherwise. And I think it's heightened his level of sensitivity, has made him a bit more defensive than he needs to be, and that's why he's saying this. And the reason, my response to him would be this. The reason we know you're being sensitive and defensive because he is incredibly adroit. He's a veteran. He knows how to speak to the media. He knows what can be taken out of context. He knows what third rails to avoid, etc. But you're on the record saying this? There is no way that you can say this if you're Doc Rivers and it be seen in any kind of positive light whatsoever. What about the teams I got 3 victories from in a series? What about the amount of time, how I'm proud I never avoided a sweep, and stuff like that? You can't say that. And for him, there's no excuse, Molly, because he's a champion. Like, if you never won the championship and you're trying to find a reason to gloss over something, I get it. He actually won a championship. If there weren't injuries in 2010 to Big Perk, to whether it's KG hobbling around, Rasheed Wallace and these guys, they might have beat the Lakers in 2010. He could have had 2 titles instead of just 1. Yo, you're a champion. This is not what you say. You just don't say this.